Back in the 1970s, an up-and-coming passionate pianist was playing a concert at a hotel in Bangkok. And during that concert, the pianist walks in and noticed the humidity level was pretty bad and knew or had an understanding that it could affect the performance of the piano. And so he sits down nonetheless and starts playing his very complicated selection. And as he's playing the keys, he noticed, I'm not familiar with the keys, I'm calling it a D clef or whatever it is, but one of the keys stick. One of the keys stick, and it's frustrating, so he has to pick a different key to play it in, and before you know it, it sticks. And while he's playing the whole thing, he noticed some overzealous person in charge of the piano had set everything up, over-greased the piano chair, and before you know it, in his enthusiastic play, he found himself facing the people, unmistakably. So he's experiencing all these frustrations. The keys are sticking, so he begins to kick the piano in order to loosen the keys. And in the process of kicking the piano while he's still playing, he kicks the leg. And in kicking the leg, he causes the piano to go about a 38-degree slide. So now he's really in trouble. He's frustrated, he gets up, he bows to the crowd, and they applaud, probably likely for sympathy more than anything else. But they applaud, and he walks off the stage. But they didn't see the last of this man, for when he comes back, in his hand is a fire axe. And he starts waylaying that piano in front of everybody. So the ushers, hearing the clash and clanging going on, rush in to see what was going on. Ends up calling the hotel manager, who ends up calling the police. It just so happened to be a police officer was driving by. So between the four of them, they finally subdue this man and take him from him. Now that's a temper tantrum. Wouldn't you agree? That's an anger issue. When you can do that in performance in public in front of everybody. So in our culture today, we have anger issues. We have problems with that, right? I seen a classified ad one time that said, wedding dress for sale, never worn. We'll trade it for 38 caliber pistol. I don't know what to make of that, but someone wasn't happy. I like just to think it's someone that likes guns or something, but I don't know. I don't want to draw too much. A man by the name of Calvin Miller, he observes that anger is our towering Goliath, that we attempt to put little pebbles in our slings and throw it at, only to find that anger is very zealous in its approach in our lives. And it's always there. Just spoke to a gentleman in the lobby, and we were talking about anger, and he says, there's just some certain issues that really just push buttons in me. And I agree with that. So whether you're a person that walks in anger all the time, or you're a person that, when certain subjects are talked about, it gets you angry, I think nonetheless we deal with anger, each and every one of us. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, you never heard of what we hear of now with, the DC sniper and people hanging out on freeways, sniping people as they're driving by, or school shootings, or road rages where your people, instead of just beeping the horn, now they're following you off the edge and all the way to the gas station or to your home, and sometimes they're tapping a pistol on the window as they're passing by, or whatever they are doing. They're doing more of it into deeper levels. Road rage is what we have. Someone once said that anger is like an acid which does more harm to the vessel it is stored than onto the person it is poured. But anger is an acid that does more harm to the vessel it is stored than to the person in which it is poured. It's like an acid. And I think we can all agree that medically speaking, if you store up all this anger up in here, it does things physically to your body. Whether it be ulcers or high blood pressures or whatnot. It does things to you if stored for long periods of time. Turning to the book of Ephesians, we look at chapter 4, and we find a very interesting statement in verse 26. Given the fact that anger is such a hard any of us to deal with, the statement made in this verse, very surprising. In Ephesians 4:26 it says, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath. So, this is a command. When I read this, this is a command. And if anger is all that bad, then why are we commanded to be angry and sin not? If you read this chapter right here, later in the chapter, in verse 31, it says to put all anger away from you. Put all anger away from you. Almost sounds like a double standard there. But what we have to conclude is that if there's some way in which anger can be looked on as a positive emotion, is there such a thing as righteous indignation? Is there such a thing as a sinless anger? Well, there must be here, because we're told that there's a kind of anger that's without sin. Be ye angry and sin not. There must be an anger without sin. And the only place we have to go to is our Father in heaven, our Jesus Christ, our example, who lived this earth, who walked this earth, who experienced the same temptations and trials you and I face, who have dealt with difficult people like you and I face, and only go as far as Jesus. You know, but before we get into exactly what Jesus is, let me say this. That whatever else this passage is saying, it has not given us a proof text to vent our anger. I don't care what Dr. Phil told you. I don't care what Elbert told you. My focus is on the Scriptures and what it tells us. And it says to be angry and sin not. A lot of people, a lot of Christians will justify their actions, their venting, with this Scripture right here. I'm allowed to be angry. The Bible says I can. But it says not to sin. And it also says that Christ was without sin when He went to the cross. He just bore your sin. And if that's true, then He was angry and He did not sin. How did He do that? But this is what He didn't do. He didn't spill His venting onto people. What that creates, and there's people, good-hearted Christian people who wrote books on this matter. Listen, if you get in the habit of venting your anger, just telling people what you feel, and you got those people who come up to you and just say, I just tell them what I think. I don't want nothing back. A lot of times, those kinds of people have vented their anger enough that they've created volatile habits. That's all they've done. They've created volatile habits that is not healthy and not good. And they justify it through their pride, and they stand back and say, I just tell somebody how I feel. I don't care what they think. Oh, you're just honest with people. Yeah, I just tell them what I feel. No, a mouth that's unfiltered is not a biblical mouth. It's not a biblical mouth. So when it comes to Christian standards, do not vent. Do not justify your venting with this Scripture right here. You'd be unbiblical in doing so. Matthew 5, Jesus talks about, you've heard of them of old, you should not kill. But I'm telling you, if you hate your brother or sister, you've committed murder already. Later on in the book of Galatians, fits of rage are on the list called the sins of the evil nature. Proverbs 29:11 says, a fool vents all his feelings, but a wise man holds them back. And James adds this to the New Testament. So then, my beloved brother, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. The wrath of man, say wrath of man.
Wrath of man.
The wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So number one, what people ain't doing is God, is my anger righteous? Because if you don't do that, you didn't even filter it through the Word of God or God Himself. And when you do that, you're walking in your own wrath. Not the wrath of God, you're walking in your own wrath. So when you represent yourself, it's always going to be sinful. Psalms 37:8. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. People have acted out on their wrath. People have vented, like I told you. But that creates a foundation for volatile habits. You are starting something and building upon it that's unhealthy. And then before long, people know you
about it. They say she just tells you what she feels, or he tells you how he feels. You don't hold nothing back. You ever hear about those kinds of people? Well, a lot of times, it's a habit that started years ago that worked for them, and they believe it's the right path to take, but oftentimes it excludes God. It excludes God. So what in the world does Paul mean here when he says to be angry and sin not? How can we be angry without sin? Well, the first thing, and the first point for you to write down in your notes is the question, how did Jesus express his anger? How did Jesus express his anger? Hopefully John chapter 2 will help us answer that. But Jesus expressed his anger in a lot of ways. He didn't express it in a temper of hostility. Jesus did not express it in a temper of hostility. It wasn't a momentary explosion from some volatile spirit. He wasn't vindictive in it. But rather, he was Holy Spirit guided. He thought through the anger before it actually occurred. Jesus personally witnessed things that angered him. You personally witnessed things that angered you. And there was something he witnessed in the temple that angered him. And it's John chapter 2. Now the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and he found in the temple those who sold oxen, sheep, and doves, and the money changers doing business. Paint the scene here. You done walk for miles, you're walking into God's holy place. And you walk into the first court, which is the Gentile court. And then you walk into the Jewish court. And then you walk into the holy place. Okay? Well, the Gentile court, only the non-Jewish people were allowed there. And so that's where they worshiped. That was their church. So imagine the scene. Jesus is walking in, and he tells you in the Word that he sees oxen and sheep and doves being sold and money changers there. He's seeing this. And this ain't a small place. This is a big place. And he's seeing all these money changers. And he's observing what's going on. And he sees what's going on. You know what he sees? This is what made him angry. He sees extortion and racketeering. He sees the high priests coming out, the ones that are supposed to be representative of God, full of compassion and grace. He sees them come out, and as the Gentiles who's walked miles to get there, we can't get in our Dodge Omni and run 2 miles down the road and be at the temple. That's not them. What was them was they walked miles. They're aching. Their legs are hurting. And all the while they wanted to come and worship God. So they walk into the holy place, and they're smiling, they're expectant when they walk through the place, and then they meet the priest, and they show them the lamb that they saved and secured, and it's without spot. It's perfect. To their understanding, it met the sacrificial guidelines. But the high priest takes their offering, he says, "No, I'm sorry, it's don't meet the expectations here. We can't offer this to God. We're going to keep it, but we can't offer it to God." And matter of fact, just for your convenience, we happen to have a lamb and an oxen and a dove over here. And what are they going to do? They can't hop in their Dodge Omni and run back to the house and get another one. They've got to walk miles. So, of course, the price of what they had for sale there was extorted out of the poor pilgrims that come there to worship God. And Jesus saw this happening. And this is another thing that bothered Jesus. That was number one. Number two thing that bothered Jesus is that they were Gentile people. They didn't have to come and worship God, but they chose to worship God. And because they chose to worship God, that made them free agents. I mean, they wasn't born as a Jew. They decided to convert to Christianity and come there and worship. But you know what? What happened? It's like if this stage represented the Gentile court, there were so many money changers, there was so much extortion and racketeering going on, and so many people who focused on filthy riches, that the Gentile court, because it was so stuck full of those people, was reduced to a little bitty spot. And so the people that wanted to worship couldn't because they didn't have room. It was reduced. In that way, Jesus, very indignant, that they were forgetting about those people. And Jesus got mad. And he had to think, listen, this incident right here, it didn't happen in 5 minutes. It didn't happen in 5 minutes. He took time to wove a cord, a whip. It took time to flip some tables. It took time to get around the whole court and say, what are you guys doing? My house should be called a house of prayer, but you have made it into a den of thieves. He was shouting. And he was angry. You want to know if your anger is righteous or not, sinless or not? Look at what Jesus did. Look at what Jesus did. You know, Jesus, if we look at the part 2, anger in Jesus versus anger in you. Anger in Jesus versus anger in you. How are they different? This is the key, right? You need to write this down. Jesus' anger was never about his own stuff. It was always about seeing the abuse and injustice of others. It was never about his own stuff. You know what your anger is about? I can't believe they posted that about me on Facebook. I can't believe Aunt Agnes said that about me to my grandmother who done this and spread this around. Now the family reunion is just going to suck. We get mad over what people do to our reputation, even to the point that we got a lawsuit called defamation of character, which has its time and place, don't get me wrong. But we get mad over stuff that happened to us. Jesus got mad over stuff that happened to God. Not to him. Not to him. That's the difference. That's what kept him sinless and angry. Because it was never about him. It was always about the Father. And it is not wrong for you to get upset and angered about the injustice and abuse of other people. I seen an article, a video in Fox News one time, and it wasn't that long ago. I think it was even early last year. But they showed the video for a specific reason. Because we don't have any good Samaritans anymore. And they showed the video, and here was a guy that got in a scuffle. He happened to be a poor man, got in another scuffle with another poor man, and this guy got stabbed, and he was there bleeding on the sidewalk. And they showed the video of multiple people walking around saying, man, what happened to him? Or it sucks to be him. And they kept on walking. And the point of the whole thing was, why didn't they stop and help? It's because we've got a mentality that it's all about us. We're going to have life our way. And I told you before, and I'll tell you again, you'll probably hear it 100 more times before I go and die and be with the Lord, that America has moved from its front porch rocking chairs, waving at people as they pass, to the back porch privacy fences and saying it's all about us. It's all about our little paradise we can create. Right. And everybody else can go to hell. Because we don't care. That's what it's become. And it's never meant to be like that. And society is making you like that. The world is making you like that. Because we're not in the Word teaching a different character. We're going, guys, Christians go upstream. The world's going downstream. Guess which path is easier? On another occasion, we see the Lord Jesus Christ standing around on the Sabbath day, and they bring a man with a withered hand to Jesus. And Jesus takes his hand, and the religious leaders are really getting ready to pounce like a cat on a mouse. Oh, if he does this, he's broken the Sabbath, and oh my God. Oh, hellfire's going to come out. Because they've been legalistic about the Sabbath for hundreds of years leading up to Jesus, and it ain't changing now. And so Jesus, knowing their hearts, knowing their thoughts, took the man's withered hand and healed him. Oh, we got you! You just broke the Sabbath. It says you shouldn't do any work on the Sabbath. And Jesus, the Bible says in the book of Mark, Jesus was angered. Because they didn't know the spirit and compassion of that law. That the Sabbath was made to provide you rest. You, a restoration of thought and mind and body, spiritually, physically. That's what the Sabbath is about. It is not that when you see your neighbor bleeding on the sidewalk, sucks to be you. Because it's Sunday. You got to get before rush hour at the Golden Corral. You got to get the first chop of that lamb. I'm telling you, we are selfish people. And we are thinking selfishly. And when we walk in anger, it's because we walk and we sin in anger. We sin because it's about us. And it's not about God. Cut me off. You know, we start doing things that's not part of God's character because it's about us. Jesus was sinless because it was always about God. Now, we see again in our text in chapter 4, verse 26 and 27, it says, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun, say sun. Sun. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath or give place to the devil. And later on in the same chapter, Ephesians 4:31, let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. You know, anger can really get its hooks into us and really cause us to really think a lot about it. But when it starts talking about don't give place to the devil, you allow that anger to get so deep into you, and it's going to create scenarios that ain't there. The devil's going to get a hold of you, and like a fence, because anger is a part of, like a fence, the devil lays a snare and traps you. And when you're trapped, that trap has a purpose. What do you think it is? To stop you from moving forward. To keep you right there where the trap is set. Why? The devil don't want you to move forward. The devil don't want you to move with freedom. He wants you to be caught up and hurt and injured and caught up in this trap to where you can't move and you're complaining all the time. I wanted you to see that. Number 3. How can I help my anger? How can I help my anger? Now, the first thing you have to do is face your feelings of getting angry over something that has done, something someone has done to you or failed to do to you in your interests. You need to make up your mind that you're not going to nurse that anger. Some people with anger, they'll close it, they'll bottle feed it, they'll put a blanket around it, they'll diaper it, they'll just do everything to it. Put it to bed in their mind, in their heart. They'll nurse it and nurse it and nurse it. And the Bible says, let not the sun go down on your wrath. What does that mean? That means you should not give your anger more than 24 hours. And God does that for you. That after the sun goes down, so shouldn't the anger out the window. When you wake up in the morning, and I've been there and done that. Me and Lala's been married to each other for 3 days sometimes. Why? It's all selfishness. It's all selfishness. I'm going to outlast her. She's going to outlast me. We're going to show who was right and who was wrong. Listen, God put this here rule. Why does He say don't let the sun go down on your wrath? Because it is not healthy for you to carry it into the next day. Or the next, or the next, or years down the road. Because you just saw somebody at the restaurant that offended you 10 years ago. And you never forgot about that. And you just saw them. And it kindled up those feelings again. Because you never done away with it. You know, a woman by the name of Phyllis Diller, she thought a little bit differently of this scripture as far as the sun going down on your wrath. She says, don't go to bed. Stay up and fight. That don't work. Meanwhile, hey, listen, there's a time I'm being transparent to you as a pastor because I stand up here preaching to myself as well as anybody else. Listen, I'll stay up as much as 3, 4 in the morning fighting. You want to talk about people going to bed? Not like we went through a 15-round boxing match. I mean, it was horrible. It was no good for either one of us. It's sad that it took us this long to learn about that. love won out. Love won out, thank God. And we realized that that was stupid. And it just didn't need to happen. And we're not perfect, but we've learned some things that day. It's like, ain't nothing, we're just going to let it go. There's going to be a time and place throughout in our day. We're going to talk about it at the right time and stuff. And we're not going to let the sun go down on our anger. We're going to take care of it and let it go. You know, if we nurse our anger, a lot of times what we have, we think of speeches in our minds, don't we? Like what we're going to tell people. And when we get to work, this is what we're going to tell our boss, or when we get that fellow employee that got promoted over us, or that teacher at school that never treats us right, or that kid that bullies us all the time. We're just going to, we got our speeches in our minds, right? And we think about these things, and you rehearse the whole thing in your mind. That's nursing it. Okay, you're nursing it. What if God put our thoughts on billboards on Route 19 as we're going home? You know, you see that? I didn't even know to get out. Oh my gosh, would we all be in trouble? We all cuddle it, we all nurse it, and we all done it. Would we be in trouble? Before you know it, we're enjoying our anger. We're getting a sense of enjoyment from it. We're thinking about, yeah, it'd be nice to do this. Oh man, if so-and-so was president, I'd say this. But yeah, it makes him feel. And they just be embarrassed or whatnot, and we're just enjoying it, right? Guys, we're nursing it, and that's not the thing that needs to happen. Before you know it, all this, the devil gets his hooks into us, and we're feeling justified and even inferior over our foe. We're standing up on higher ground. You know, whoever has higher ground wins in the line of battle, you know, and we're standing on higher ground. We're thinking we're standing on higher ground. We got all this dirt on our brother or sister or loved one, and we can't wait. And we're starting to enjoy it. And it's like it gets like super glue. It just attaches itself to our minds, and it eats at our souls, and it rocks our ability to have compassion. And before you know it, bitterness rises up. For I think that motive bitterness rises to the occasion every time someone wants to take out women and children for no cause other than their agenda. The Columbine shooting was all about that. Anytime you see someone taking a weapon into school, mowing down kids, it's an act of vengeance and bitterness that was rooted in years ago. And festered and festered and festered. And you look at their bedrooms, and you look at their notes, and you look at their videos, their online postings, and one thing you can collectively get is a pattern of and discontent and bullying and picking and thoughts and feelings and all the shows. Even the shows started supporting acts of violence. The things that they watched changed, and the things that they listened to changed. They started listening to things that fed them, fed that spirit of bitterness. Listen to me. That created that environment over the years. It's not overnight. Someone just wakes up and wants to kill people. That don't happen overnight. That's born. And that's seeded. And that's rooted. Before you know it, God says, if you don't get rid of it, it'll tear you up, it'll eat you up, it'll condemn you. Oftentimes what you have is suicidal attempts after such an act of violence, because it's almost like after the devil's done with you, he has no more use for you, and he asks you to turn against yourself, and you do it. So not only do you take out the other people, loved ones, he'll take out you too. Hebrews 12 tells us we are to root out all bitterness that springs up in our hearts and causes trouble unto the point of defilement. So settle it before the sun goes down. So how can I get rid of anger? Secondly, don't rehearse your anger. Ever be around people who just tell you how mad they are at so-and-so? Tell you what they think of so-and-so? That no matter what, every time you're around them, that the most important conversation is about how mad they are on something? You make me so angry. You ever hear that being said? You make me so angry. No. The anger was already there. The only thing that person did was able to bring it out of you. It's already there. Brothers and sisters, if you hear anything from me this morning, that's the question we asked God this morning. what anger is here, and if it's unhealthy, God, take it out of me. You have it. Take it out of me. Because when you sit there and say, I can't believe you made me angry. No, they just brought the anger out of you. It was already there, seated in you, whether it's from past childhood memories all the way up through hurtful events. You're like an onion. They just peel back the layer, it revealed itself, and it was already there. Don't you dare blame your actions on another person when you have control of your mouth and your hands and your heart. Amen. Don't. That's not accountability. That's not biblical accountability. Don't blame what you can control on other people. That is cowardice. That is pridefulness. At its core, deceitful heart. Don't do it. Thirdly, don't let your mouth be the commercial for your anger on Facebook or to friends or at home. Oftentimes your mouth is the best marketing tool you have for your anger. And the devil knows it. For you, once these words come out, you can't take them back no matter how hurtful they are. No matter how much you apologize about them, no matter how much you're forgiven of them, it was still there. It's still out there. Ephesians 4:29 says, let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it might impart, say impart, that it might impart grace to the hearers. Boy, have we screwed that one up. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth. The way the word corrupt is used in Ephesians 4:29, its meaning. Look up the meaning. It means cutting. So let no cutting remark come out or proceed out of your mouth, but only the things that are necessary for edification, that it might impart grace to the hearers. Today we live in a culture where cutting one another seems to be the favorite indoor sport. Amongst troopers and law enforcement, we hear cutting all the time, between agencies or whatnot. We go to sporting events and stuff, rivalry games, and we hear cutting all the time, just simply because so-and-so wears the uniform, different colored uniform, and goes to a different school than we do. We rival, right? You have rival games, right? We love it. We eat it up. It sells. It sells. Guys, let me tell you, oftentimes, when I'm in my law enforcement capacity and I'm walking the team through the tunnel, the visiting team, you ain't going to believe some of the things that's said and done while we're trying to keep the safety of the rivalry team. And the only thing they're guilty of is going to a different school. When batteries are throwing and things that got weight to them at the players and blah, 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 and we got to protect them from all that, and they didn't do anything other than go to a different school, it's out of hand. When law enforcement is called to a child's sporting event, not to control a child, but to control the parent in the stands, we've gotten to a place that's out of control. We vent our anger. And it's called foolishness. It's called jesting. I heard a pastor one time talk about foolish jesting. The Bible talks about foolish jesting. J-E-S-T-I-N-G. Look it up. It's in the Bible. And what it is that we should not participate in foolish jesting. And this is the reason why. Pastor one time tells a story. He says he has a very good friend and they're jesting all the time, cutting each other, and having a good time. Never nothing serious. It's just foolish jesting, And so, but they end up separating ways, going down different paths for no harmful reason. But later, years later, some 10 years later, they end up seeing each other again at a restaurant, catching up, and the guy that he was jesting with, the pastor says, I seen that there was something bothering him and stuff, and so we sat down and talked about it. He said, what's wrong? He said, years ago when you said such and such, and we were having this, yeah, I remember that. He said, well, I just want you to know that really hurt my feelings. He said, what? I didn't mean nothing by that. We were just joking and jesting and stuff like that. And so what that pastor's reason told the story is because he had to watch what comes out of his mouth. Because as a pastor, your words are weighted a lot more heavy than anybody else. And they mean a little bit more, right? But let me promote this. That my words are as valuable as your words. And that you have the ability to edify and build and bless. And I have that ability too. But you also have the ability to destroy, curse, and condemn. I have that ability too. So I don't see much difference in you and I. And this is my prompt to you. The next time you feel like cutting somebody, the next time you feel like sitting in front of the TV and spilling your popcorn and beer, over the referee's call and you start yelling at the TV to have no feelings, watch what comes out your mouth. And sit back and say, I shouldn't have said that. That's cutting. That's foolish. And God's created these two things, these lips here, to bless and not curse. Matter of fact, He's given me 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen more, talk less. We must impart grace to the hearers. Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Oh yeah? Yeah! Oh yeah? Back and forth. One time I was angry about something. One time I just put her hand on my cheek ever so gently. Said something softly, and it just took the wind out of my sails. Whatever ship I was on, I jumped off. It took the wind out. And it's like, that was pure love right there. And it wasn't about this, whatever it was I was upset about. It was more about calming me down. And oftentimes you'll hear me say, love's got a calming touch. And that's what I mean by that. It's got a firming touch. That's another message. When you hang out with people, angry people, it's a virus. You will get the symptoms. Guilty by association, you ever hear that? Okay, we hear it all the time with law enforcement. Well, I was just there. I didn't. Oh, yeah, they were smoking this and doing this and shooting that, and yeah, they robbed the bank. But I was just there. Listen, if you hang around angry people, it'll spill over onto you. Make no mistake about this. Proverbs 22:24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man do not go, lest you learn his ways and set a snare for your soul. Fourthly, don't disperse your anger. We are told to put all anger and bitterness away from us. We are not to release the floodgates of our anger whenever we may feel like it. I don't care what Dr. Field told you, what Oprah told you. The Word of God is supreme in your life. You want to be a Christian. You want to do the God righteous anger kind of thing. Do what the Bible says, Proverbs 19:11. The discretion of man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression. It is better for you to overlook someone's mistake to you than it is to make note of it. That's right. It is healthier physically and spiritually to you to overlook your brother and sister's faults. Now, love will come in compassionately, gracefully, and make some corrections so those faults don't end up cursing your life. Don't get me wrong. Hear me. But there are times where you're going to have to overlook a brother or sister's faults, so it doesn't seed anger into you or to them. And by looking over them, you have discretion. Simple anger is a tantrum. You ever see a child throw himself down and start kicking his leg? And why? Why do they do that? Because they don't get what they want. Dr. Kevin Lehman wrote a book one time, I forget the name of it, about rearing children. And he talks about his daughter and how they were in a grocery store, and this is probably about the third time she's done this, almost as if she's trying to establish a pattern. But the daughter throws herself down in the middle of the grocery aisle and starts throwing a tantrum because she can't get it. So, Cheerios, she started, and it's just awful. And everybody started to look around, and Mom, Dr. Kevin Lehman's wife, she's like, you know how these. And so, but Dr. Kevin Lehman, he had one up. He said, okay, I'm going to hit this head on. So he said, she's wanting our attention. I'm not going to give it to her. So he walks and just steps right over top of her on purpose. You know, and just acts like she's not there. And the mom follows along. And wait a minute, the daughter, she's like, wait a minute, this ain't, she stops. I mean, they can hear it in the back. She's not crying anymore. She's not throwing her temper tantrum anymore. She's not getting her way anymore.
And so he goes on in that chapter to write how it worked. How if you do not give them the attention their temper tantrum is wanting, then they'll eventually stop that. And probably move on to the next thing. Puppy, dog, right, whatever. But we throw now, hey, it don't change much for us. When we become adults, we throw temper tantrums too. They're just a little bit more sophisticated. Whether it's on Facebook or on the phone or in person, we throw temper tantrums too at an adult level. And it's sad to see when Christians do it. And it's sad to see what's posted online after, we forget about a year ago we posted how much God is active in our life, and then a year later when we're throwing a temper tantrum online, the readers are sitting back, yeah, I thought that person was Christian. Yeah. And so we go on. Romans 12:20, verse 21. This is how we're supposed to react. This is out of the box, countercultural. Therefore, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him a drink. For if in so doing, you will heap coals of fire on his head. Do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. Christians are being overcome with evil. Why? Because that's all they're doing is evil. They're not overcoming evil with good. What do I mean by that? Pastor tells a story one time. He says, he's driving into McDonald's drive-through, and he don't even pay attention to it, didn't even realize, didn't even mean to do it, but he accidentally cuts this woman off. She was getting in ready and cuts her off. So she slams on the brake. He tells the story, he says, man, she was hot. She stuck her head out the window, gave him a piece of her mind that she couldn't afford to do without. And talked about a different language he never heard before, some sign language he's not seen for a long time. And he continues. And he's driving through, and she's still throwing it. He can see her in the rearview mirrors, and he said, in my carnal spirit, I got to tell you, I lock my doors. And he continues to drive forward to the driving window, and he's just looking and stuff. He's trying to deal with God and stuff, like how to respond to this. And he looks at the cashier, he pays for his meal, and he says, you know what? I want to pay for that woman's meal behind me. And the cashier says, oh, why? Is she your family member? He said, no. And he said, but I just want, how much is it I want to pay for? And when she comes up, don't charge her again for it. He said, this is for her. So he drives on further. You know how you just keep on going, right? And he says, in his carnal spirit, he couldn't help but wanting to see what happens when she finds out her meal was paid for. And so he pulls up and he's watching in his rearview mirror, and the cashier says that her food's paid for, gives her her food. She's just like shocked. She's like, guys, listen, that's exactly the example of doing something good and heaping coals of fire upon that person's head. It took the wind out of her sails. She didn't know how to respond to such an act of kindness. And it just, by the time, don't get me wrong, she probably thought about it for years. But the thoughts she had of what she, I ought to do this and I ought to blah, 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 up until her meal being paid for, and now it's covered with an act of kindness and compassion. So he said it just like took the wind out of her sail. And when the Bible, I didn't understand that scripture for the longest time when it said heap coals of fire upon their head. I'm like, what's that mean? I'm not taking it literally. But what it meant was in Paul's time, knowing that his people, the Jews, were enslaved in Egypt for 500 years. One of the Egyptian customs was whenever they felt ashamed, they got caught doing something ashamed, they felt ashamed about something, they'd get on their knees, pray to their gods, but while doing so, one of their customs was to put hot coals in a pan, put it up on their head. And they would pray, and the hot coals are a symbol of the burning shame that they felt in their heart. So Paul, knowing that, uses it metaphorically in saying, when you do good for somebody, you're heaping coals of fire. You're helping them realize their shame. Like that woman in the drive-thru lane. Realized her shame when that act of kindness came.
But when we're too busy jagging at each other and getting the upper hand, we're too busy thinking our next jag. We're out to win this fight. That's the carnal spirit, right? But do acts of kindness, and you're wanting to end it quickly and as compassionately as possible. The next time someone gets angry against you, do something good to them. In closing, I'm going to end with this story. It's about a man named Reuben Hurricane Carter. There's a book been written by it. There's a movie by Denzel Washington poses as Hurricane Carter in this movie. And it's all about a man who had been wrongfully convicted of 3 murders. Sentenced to over 20 years in prison, 2 decades of his life taken from him, and they finally realized after appeals and appeals that he was wrongfully convicted. And in the back of his book, he writes this statement. The question invariably arises, it has before and it will again, Reuben, are you bitter? And the answer to that, after all that has been said and done, the fact that the most productive years of my life, between the ages of 29 and 50, have been stolen from me. The fact that I was deprived of seeing my children grow up, wouldn't you think I would have the right to be bitter? Wouldn't anyone under those circumstances have the right to be bitter? In fact, it would be very easy for me to be bitter, but that has never been my nature. It has never been in my lot to do things the easy way. If I've learned anything else in my life, I've learned that bitterness only consumes the vessel it contains. And for me to allow bitterness to infect my life in any way whatsoever would be to allow those who imprisoned me who took 22 years of my life, have already taken 22 years of my life, to take even more. And that would make me an accomplice to their crime, wouldn't it? That's what he writes. It's an amazing statement of forgiveness in dealing with anger. He walked out of that prison not only free from the bars, but also free of the people who put him there. When we allow someone to make us bitter and imprison us and ensnare us and trap us, then sometimes they don't even know they have. And yet we're the ones all balled up with anger. Jesus says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. I'm saying, don't let the service end without you coming to Jesus and saying, hey, take this part. Where's my anger meter at? Take it from me. Let's stand together. As young June, Mary Ann comes forward and stuff, let me tell you, as the songs play, I don't care if it's contemporary or traditional, this altar's open for your needs. God wants to deal with our angers today. Everybody has it. Everybody. So let us not be so prideful in the house of God. Let us enter the courts of praise and look into the heavens and say, God, take this anger. If there's any unbiblical anger in me, take it from me right now. Reveal it to me. That anything that, if I represent myself and not you, it's simple. You recognize that, take it from me. In Jesus' name. To be honest with God this morning.